Hey guys, Bondo here. We got hired to take out this little garage floor here. That's my son Jason on the jackhammer, and him and his friend Bren are whacking away at this thing. This floor looked like it was going to come out pretty easy when I looked at it and I bid the job. Um, it was all cracked up. It had a lot of cracks in it, and the customer had called a spray foam company that I work with. The guy does a lot of spray foaming for me for radiant heat and stuff. He looked at this job, and the customer wanted him to. They can spray styrofoam underneath these concrete slabs if they settle, and they can push them back up. But this particular slab here, the spray foam guy told him it needed to come out because what these some of these companies had done back in the 90s as they especially in these housing developments. This is like in an urban area. It's got a lot of it's called Radisson, the area. It's like got a lot of nice houses in there, but they're kind of like a track housing type of deal. And they built these houses real fast. And in my opinion, when they did the excavation work, they didn't do it right. Well, I know for a fact they didn't do it right because a lot of times they just use a lot of the site soil and backfill these garages, and they wouldn't tamp them properly. And to combat that, I believe what the masons were doing is they were drilling holes in the side of the blocks and running rebar in there. But I ran into this a couple of times where, they'd put pieces of rebar in the block wall to try to hold the slab up from settling. Well, that lasted probably 10 years, and then these rebars will, they'll rot out or whatever, and the floors will actually settle and sink. There'll be a void underneath the floor because they didn't properly mechanically tamp, the soil underneath, and they didn't use the right type of soil. This particular job seemed like it had the right type of soil, but it probably just wasn't tamped. The one we did last year, that was pretty much all sand and it wasn't tamped. This one here, there's a bit right where Jason's whacking away right there. There's quite a gap underneath that thing. Right there, underneath there, they were able to hit it with a sledgehammer and break it right there. Here you go. I'm gonna shine the camera underneath this thing. See that gap right there, guys? That's unacceptable. That's terrible. So this particular floor was different than the other one I took out. I kind of expected it to be the kind of thin, the way it looked. I thought it was going to be thin. I thought it would come out pretty easy, but it definitely didn't come out easy. We used the tractor and a electric jackhammer. I was trying to get an air-powered jackhammer. I was trying to rent it, but I couldn't get that. It wasn't available from the rental company that I use. So we ended up using this electric one. It wasn't really big enough for the job, so we we were over there demoing this thing for probably 10 hours to get this stupid thing out and get the gravel down in. So it wasn't easy. The slab was a lot thicker than I thought it was, and they didn't just put rebar in the edge like the last one. They just stuck like some 1 foot pieces of rebar that they drilled into the blocks around the edge to hold the slab up. This thing had a rebar mat in it, so they had actually poked the rebar into the wall, build a complete rebar mat, and probably on a 3 foot grid, maybe. Yeah, about a 3 foot grid. They had the rebar, so there was a lot of rebar in this thing, and it actually had wire mesh in it in some spots too. It wasn't completely wire mesh, but it did have some wire mesh in it. So this thing didn't come out easy, guys. We had to struggle with this. We had to cut it, cut the rebars off, and that's my cousin Josh. He brought his dump trailer over, and he took 3 loads of material out of this little garage. So it was pretty thick. We took here at this particular load here, we took a lot of bigger slabs out of there. Tried to take it out as these bigger ones. I used the forks on Carl the Kubota um, to take these bigger pieces out. And we got areas over near our house we can dump this stuff. I got a cliff that I just keep filling in with material, and Josh has a spot he dumps his the spoils too. So that's what we do with this stuff. So we don't have to pay a dump fee. So if this is you guys' first time here on my channel, my name's Ron Bond. have a construction company called Bondo Built Construction. Everybody calls me Bondo. That's why I named my company Bondo Built Construction. We do a lot of concrete work during the summer, guys. I do a lot of videos. I got, I don't know, probably 110 videos now. So I've been doing the YouTube thing about a little over a year. So, my channel's fairly new. I'm getting up there in subscribers. Got a couple hundred subscribers now, so it's pretty good stuff. I try to teach you guys anything I can about concrete. And in the wintertime, I try to do a lot of home renovation stuff. I'll buy houses and fix them up in the winter. So as far as the concrete work, we do excavation like this, light excavation. I got a Myanmar excavator. I got a track concrete buggy. I got my Kubota tractor here. I call it Carl with a K. So we do a lot of light excavation work, and then we go right in and do the concrete. We don't do the big excavation stuff. I got guys that I hire to do like big basement digs and stuff. This little stuff we do ourselves. We try to get videos and try to help you guys out. Showing you how to do it. We do Nidura foundations. The ICFs. We do a lot of them. People really like that when I do those ICF videos. So they're pretty cool. So if you like this kind of stuff, guys, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the bell notification. So when I upload a video, you'll know that it's coming. You won't miss out on anything. And if you got any comments for me or anything, hit me up. Any questions? I like to answer questions, and that helps out my channel. Any kind of dialogue we got going will help me out on YouTube. It'll rank my videos higher and stuff. So thanks, and you guys that are subscribed, thanks for subscribing, and thanks for watching my stuff. And my channel's doing better. I'm getting a lot more comments and stuff. I'm getting a lot of questions, so that's good stuff. Thanks again. So on with the job, guys. We're just finishing up the demo here. Josh, right there in the white shirt, he cut with his big saw. He cut some of these out, so we just had to take these bigger pieces out of here instead of jackhammering it. It saved us quite a bit of time. And I ordered a load of 1.5" minus material. That load of gravel that you see there, Josh picked that up with his dump trailer. So we ended up getting that. I think we ended up with about 6 yards of, it's called crusher run or 1.5" minus. It's basically crushed rock. It's not limestone, it's just rock. It's like the brown rocks that we have in our area, they just crush it up. So it doesn't really have any dirt in it. It packs really nice. So that's what we like to use under a lot of these floors. And it works really good. So this floor, like I said, it wasn't really that it had clay underneath it. I think it was just, they used gravel or whatever, but they didn't mechanically tamp it. The excavator probably just filled it right in with stuff. And, the mason at the time probably knew it wasn't right. So he tried to combat it by plucking a bunch of rebars in there and, doing that, drilling holes and making this rebar mat. I didn't get any video footage of us putting the gravel down or anything, but we put the gravel down, we tamped it, we put poly underneath this thing, and wire mesh. Obviously, I pulled out all the rebar that were stuck into the wall. So here we are pouring the concrete, guys. This is the next day. We had a wheelbarrow a lot of the back here. We just used the rear loader truck. I got a concrete buggy, but it splatters a lot. So, this guy had all kinds of stuff in this garage hanging all over the place. It wasn't, very clean, easy to work in here. There was shelves all over the place, and he didn't have anywhere to put his stuff. So we kind of left things up high on nails and stuff. So I didn't want to splatter anything. We put a little plastic up in the back there over his door and stuff and along the side, but we just wheelbarrowed because the wheelbarrow doesn't really splatter. So I'm in the back there, in the orange. I'm magging off the edges, and I got the guys here just wheeling the stuff to me. And I used a 8-foot aluminum screed to screed this section off. I just did it by myself. I think it was just under 8 feet, so I had to turn my screed a little bit. And that's how I did this section. Here I am just hitting the edges with the board to make sure they're flat. Like I said, I magged them to a line. We had a chalk line snapped along this whole thing, so I got the laser set up there just to check my middle as I go down through here, but I got a line on the edges. We pretty much put the floor right back where it was, because the floor, where it was originally, we could see where the old chalk lines and stuff were. So the floor had a nice pitch to it. It just settled, and when it settled, that's what gave all the cracks. It actually cracked every single place there was a rebar. The thing cracked because when it settled, it put a lot of pressure on those rebars that were stuck in the wall, and that's what made it crack. And it cracked. You could see where the rebar was because there was a crack on every rebar. So that's what happened here, guys, with this floor. So like I said, we took all that out of there, all that rebar out of that. You don't need rebar stuck in your walls like that. There's no reason to do that. If you see, if you guys see somebody doing that, try to steer them away from that. They need to get that material mechanically tamped underneath there in lifts. When you're putting these garages together and backfilling a garage that's up against the foundation, you got to do that in lifts. You got to put the gravel in there and tamp it about every 8 inches. It's a lot of work, but that's the way to do it. Don't go letting your excavator just fill it in, and don't trust them. Make sure you pay attention to what they're doing, because they'll just fill it right in with clay if you don't watch them, and then you'll have a mess down the road. Nobody will know the difference, but down the road it'll be a mess. So anyways, here I am with the laser checking my center. Like I went over by the line and checked it. Right there, I'm checking over by my line, magging it off, and then checked the middle. Made myself a little wet pad, and that's how we established the grade on here, using wet pads. We don't have any boards or anything in there. Everything's done off a wet pad, and I'm going to use the power screed to screed this off. I mean, these guys I got with me here in this job, guys, they don't have a lot of experience pouring concrete, so they really don't know how to screed. These guys, none of these guys, they're all young bucks. My son, he doesn't really know how to screed. He's learning. Evan, he's 21 years old. Brent's like 22 maybe. These guys don't know really how to screed, so that's why I'm using the power screed. I usually like to hand screed anything that's got a pitch to it. It's a little easier. It's kind of hard to power screed when there's a pitch in a floor, but I've been using that power screed for years, so I can usually make it do what I want it to do. So I just took my time and followed my line down through, and I was able to keep that pitch pretty good. And we just bow floated as we go. There I am bow floating. There's a little area underneath that door that you couldn't really get to, so I had to put the bow float underneath there and float it off, because you couldn't really reach under there very good. So that's how I handled that. This concrete we're using today, guys, is 3,500 pound mix. It's got a water reducer in it, which makes it flow a little better when you're pouring it out. It'll look like about a 6 slump, but it's really only going to be a 5 slump. So it makes it a little stronger. It's a little slipperier, a little easier to work with. I started watching on YouTube. I was watching Mike Day. He's got Mike Day, everythingaboutconcrete.com. He's real good at flat work, so I've been, I like to learn stuff too. So I was on there watching his guys pouring their concrete. They always use that water reducer, and they pour everything with 3 guys. So they don't mess around with thicker concrete. So it's just a nice little tip I got off of his channel. If you haven't checked him out, check out his channel. That guy really knows what he's doing. So that's where I got the idea for the water reducer, and actually changed my design, my concrete design on the company I get it from. I was pouring. I didn't have the water reducer in it, and I was usually pouring like a 4,000 pound mix, and I jumped back to a 3,500 pound mix with the water reducer, which is probably stronger than a 4,000 without it, because if you pour it wet, it weakens it. So you don't have to pour it as wet. Like I said, it'll look wet, but it's not. Here I am, guys. Here's a tip for you. When you're doing a garage like this, check your doors, how they seal on the concrete. That's what I'm doing here. I lowered the door down, and I checked the seal on it. And here I'm using a screed to make sure that it's flat. I got my 8-foot screed there, and I just set it on the floor to make sure everything was flat, and I checked the door again. I did that on both these doors, and you want to fuss around with this a little bit, because if you don't pay attention, then you go to close your door later and it doesn't seal right. You're going to have an unhappy customer. So that's a good tip for you. Um, I've had times where we didn't do that, and it wasn't good. Had to get a double seal underneath the door because I wasn't paying attention, and one of the guys screeding off never checked the door. So make sure you check those doors. That's real important. And I actually see what I did here, guys, is I jumped back over there because I wasn't super happy with how that all flowed together. So I went back over it because the direction I went across it didn't really work out too good. So I jumped right back in it and made it right. You don't have to. It doesn't matter, if you got to jump back in something you've already screeded and you want to make it a little nicer, go ahead and do it. I just didn't like how that door was sealing, so I jumped back in, put my power screed on it, and went back over it and blended it in. Here I am, bow floating, reaching out. I added a handle so I could reach way out with it and hit everything bow floated. I'm glad I went back over this because it turned out a lot nicer, and the pitch was a lot better. Sometimes when you're power screeding downhill, you kind of lose your the pitch that you want. So that's pretty much what happened there. I just turned around and pulled it back up is what I did to get the right pitch that I liked. So we're just wrapping things up here with the power screed. We're just gonna buzz our way out here. The guys are behind me. You can't really see them that good, but they're puddling. That's what we call when you're raking the concrete. We call that puddling. Like I said, these guys are all new, so they're learning, but they're doing a good job for me. Can't complain there. They're young, but they're working. They want to learn, so that's a good thing. Trying to teach these young guys. So here I am, guys, just snagging off the doorway. I don't think I got it on video, but I checked this doorway too. I lowered it down, checked it, and then right here is where I'm adding some concrete. We always pile up a pile of concrete before the truck leaves so that we can use it on the edges. So here I just reached back into get my concrete and filled it in. I didn't get any video footage of me kneeboarding this. Evan went to grab. I sent the other guys to another job. I sent Jason and Brent to another job. Me and Evan stayed back and finished this thing. Well, Evan went to get lunch, and by the time he was gone, I mean wasn't even gone very long. But it was so hot in this garage that I had to actually get right on it and start kneeboarding it really quick. And then I actually had to have the homeowner help me set the trowel on there because this thing was taking off on me. So we had to get, I had to get in there. So I boarded the whole thing by myself and jumped right in there with the power trowel and started, laying it down. Pretty much, here we are polishing it off, guys. This is pretty much the end of the video. So, this is how you do a demo and a repour on a garage. This one, like I said, was a pain. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys. I hope you got something out of this video. Like I said, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. If you are a subscriber, thanks for watching my stuff. Throw me a comment. If you got any questions, hit me up, and I will see you on the next video, guys. Thanks.